Okay folks, so welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what a tree survey is and why do we do a tree survey to support a planning application. So essentially, any development project anywhere in the UK, if there are trees on or adjacent to the red line boundary of the development site, you will need a tree survey. So what is a tree survey? Well, on this particular project here, which is a dummy project I'll talk you through in a moment, we've got a number of trees like this semi-mature lime tree here. We've got a few other trees scattered around here. They're located in a grass matrix, and this matrix of grass will basically be full of roots. And what we want to make sure through development, and what the local planning authority will want to be sure of, is that the trees both below ground and above ground do not get damaged by development. We've all seen development sites where trees have been hit by diggers or roots have been severed, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So local planning authorities basically have a duty to ensure that trees are protected through development. So what happens? Well, the first thing is, before our tree surveyors come out to site, and Rover is a nationwide company. Quick interlude before we continue with the video. I'm just going to talk to you about how we serve the whole of the UK from our head office in Inverness and our satellite office in London. One of the things I would like to point out, because our customers always raise this when they come to us for a quotation, they've often come to us through Google or Bing or maybe a ChatGPT search. They've maybe seen some of our reviews and seen how happy our customers are with us. And they go, but Matt, how on earth can you help me in London when you're based in Inverness, which is where I am today, although the sun's shining, so you might not believe me. And the reason for that is because we are a nationwide company. We have home-based surveyors scattered all across the UK, which means that we can best serve you, our client. And actually, the vast majority of our work tends to be within the M25, believe it or not. But we also have surveyors in the eastern side of the country, the western side of the country. We go down to Devon and we go down to Cornwall. We're travelling up and down the motorways all the time so that we can best serve you, our customers. What we need from you as the client to start with is a plan of the site as existing, and preferably what also you're proposing to do at the site. So we'll be looking for, really, a topographical survey would be absolutely ideal. So a topographical survey will plot the centre points of the trees on your site. And then what we do is we come out to site with a tablet computer and a tape measure and a drone. Did you know, I'm going to take 1 minute just to tell you something really quite special, that Rover was the first company in the UK to use drones day in, day out for their tree surveys. I wrote a book on the subject called Unmanned, and you can go and have a look at that if you want, or drop me a message in the video description. I might even send you a free copy. Yeah, we were one of the first to utilise drones in the UK. And why did we do that? Well, quite simply is that I had a vision when drone technology came about that we could use drones to help with our tree surveys, inspect the crowns of trees, look for defects, but we were very, very early to market, and the drones were extremely complex. They were difficult to operate. It's only really been in the last 3 years or so that my vision has been realised, and what we've got now is all of our surveyors all across the UK have got small drones. They're qualified drone pilots. They've got small drones within their vehicles and within their equipment bags. And what do they do with these drones? Well, we don't charge you anything for the use of these drones, but what we use them for is we use them for creating plans, we use them for doing inspections, we use them for putting photographs into the report, and we also sometimes use them for video for the clients as well. We quite often get asked to do roof inspections or look at LED flashing. We also use them for our bat surveys. We use their high zoom electro-optical cameras to look at potential roosting features within the buildings. We also use them as part of bat activity surveys with thermal cameras as well. Difficult buildings, we can land a drone on the top, leave it powered up, and we can use the thermal camera to look for bat emergence. So Yeah, rover and drones. It's part of our DNA, it's part of our heritage. Goes right back to 2012, and it all started for me flying them around on feature films, and now finally in 2025 we're using them day in, day out to support our customers just like you. And then what we do is we come out to site with a tablet computer and a tape measure and a drone, and we'll have your existing plans on that tablet, and we'll go up to the trees and we'll take a series of measurements on the trees. So one of the really important ones that we'll take will be the stem diameter of the tree. It's called diameter at breast height. So it's 1.5 meters above the ground. We'll take a diameter measurement. So we have a special calibrated tape measure for that. And that basically gives us a measurement to let us know roughly, and it's a guide, where the tree roots are going to extend to out from the tree. We'll also capture the height of the lowest branches. We will capture the crown spread of the tree as well. And it's important because if you need to access the site with low vehicles, it's important to know the height of the crown of the tree, the branches of the tree. And all of that information will get collected, and that will get mapped onto what's known as a tree constraints plan. We then cross-reference that with your development proposals to see where the issues are. So in terms of the issues, if you come with me over here, I'll show you. So in this site here, we've got some EV chargers that have been installed. And this particular EV charger here is sitting within the root protection area of this early mature cherry tree. Okay, now cherries have very wide spreading roots. Most people think that tree roots resemble a wine glass, but they don't really. They go down about 1.5 meters, 2 meters, and they extend out usually as far as the crown spread of the tree, but other things can impact that. So here we've got a curb line and a car park, so it would be a safe estimate that the vast majority of the tree roots here are going to be offset into this lawn area. But what's happened here is they've basically excavated here to put in the EV charger and also put the service run into it, the power into it as well. Now I can see that there's no signs of excavation within the car park, so I'm going to assume that the cable has been run underground. There's probably been some tree root damage carried out. So had this been your particular project, we would have recommended this tree is removed because it's just going to get damaged through the installation of this. Sometimes the tree can't be removed if the tree is protected or it's in a conservation area. It becomes much more difficult to get that tree removed during development. So what happens then? Well, what we'll do then is look to see whether we can amend your plans, or potentially we look to see whether there's any special construction techniques that can be utilised. So putting the building on mini piles or a floating raft foundation in order that the tree roots can be respected, but that's not always viable. Which brings me on to our sort of motto really, trees first, not last. And the reason that we say that is these tree surveys, it's really important that you get them carried out very, very early in the design phase, because if you leave it too late, it may be that your plans can't be altered and the whole project comes grinding to a halt. So that's the initial tree survey and the tree constraints plan. Following on from that, what's the last stage? Well, the last stage is something called an arboricultural method statement and a tree protection plan. Sometimes we will provide that up front before the planning application goes in, or sometimes we will produce that once planning is in place and it will be put on as a planning condition. And basically that says how the trees will be protected. So the stem of the tree might have a ply box round it if there's not much room for fencing to protect it from impacts. But more likely what you'll see is sections of harass fencing put around the edge of the root protection area to keep the builders away from the trees. We don't want them compacting the ground, spilling cement mixing, storing materials or anything like that. And sometimes you'll also need an arboricultural clerk of works. So that is where someone like me will come out, they'll check that the tree protection measures are all in place, and they're doing that. They're working for you as the client, but actually what they're really doing is they're doing it on behalf of the local planning authority. And we will then submit these records to the local planning authority on your behalf to prove that you're complying with that planning condition. So I hope that little sort of 5 or 6 minute video was helpful to you. It gives you a bit of an overview as to what tree surveys are and why they're carried out. What I'd like to end with is just saying that, you know, these tree surveys, the surveyor might only be on site for half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe 2 hours, depending on how many trees are there. And that's because the site works only actually really form 10 to 20% of the overall project. Most of it is done back at the office on the computer, getting all the information, pulling everything together for your report. So I hope that's been helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.